2017 question 2. Part A wants to know how many pounds of bananas are removed from the display table during the first 2 hours the store is open. So I only want quantity removed. That means I'm going to turn to the remove function only. And if I integrate that function during the first 2 hours would be times 0 to time 2, that is going to tell me how many pounds are removed. I'm just going to throw that in a calculator and pop an answer out of it. The answer you should be getting is 20.051. And it's looking, the problem wants to see that you've written the integral. You can't write just the answer to the integral. Each of these is worth 1 point. Then part B. Part B wants you to find f prime of 7. Now you have a calculator. You don't need to take the derivative of f all by yourself. You want to have this function already put into your calculator and then use your ability to do derivative to find f prime of 7. And I'm going to pull up Desmos, but I'm also going to talk about how to do it on a graphing calculator. I put the functions in already because I knew I was going to be using them. And I also changed my window so that I could see the functions a little bit better. And now I have to remember what the problem just asked me. F prime of 7. So f is the green function here. And with Desmos, I can nicely just say, I want you to take the derivative by going over to miscellaneous ddx of, and I had said f of x, I named my function f of x so that I could nicely take the derivative. And there are various ways to go about it on here. There might be a better way than what I'm about to show you, but hey, this will do. So what I'm going to do is call this g of x is equal to this derivative. And then I just need to find when y is 7. Now, nicely on Desmos, I can just kind of go, all right, let me find 7. I think this is actually easier on a calculator. If I'm having trouble finding it that way, I'm going to duplicate, and it didn't like that I duplicated. Anyway, I messed that one up. Oh, I see exactly why I messed it up, because I named it the wrong thing. I named it g of x and already had a g of x. So I messed that up. Moving on. With your graphing calculator, it's very important that you make sure that the function you need to find the derivative of shows up in the graphing window of your calculator at that x coordinate. You may need to change your graphing window. Once you have this function plugged into your calculator, you can then do second F4, which is the trace button, or you can see calc at the top of it. And dy dx is number 6. Push enter on number 6. And then you're going to immediately type the number 7, enter, and it will give you the dy dx being 8.729. Now, after finding that number, I'm going to write that number down Come on, wake up, my little pen. Negative 8.119. Is that what I said, or did I say another number? You know what? I said another number because I think I was looking at the wrong function in my graphing calculator. In fact, I just recalled I have a different function in my calculator. That's funny. Anyway, negative 8.119 is what you should be getting for f prime of 7. Now, using correct units explain the meaning of f prime of 7 in the context of the problem. Realize that you need to explain this as if you are talking to someone who is not a math person. Also know that when you have a derivative and you're explaining the meaning of it, look at whether it's positive or negative. If it's positive, they want you to use the word increasing. If it's negative, they want you to use the word decreasing. So you're going to say that something is decreasing. And now, what is it that's decreasing? And this is the lovely part. F is already a rate. So you're saying that F is decreasing, but F is the rate at which bananas are removed from the table. So you could say the number of bananas being removed is decreasing. Or wait, did I say that right? The rate at which bananas are being removed is decreasing. I think I said that incorrectly when I first said that. Because F is the rate at which bananas are being removed. So what I'm going to do is say the rate at which they are being removed is decreasing. Now, I need to make sure to include the numbers. I didn't mean to push that. I need to include the number 7 and the number 8.119. By saying decreasing, I've already used my negative sign. So it is the rate at which bananas are being removed from the table is decreasing by 8.119. Now, F alone is pounds per hour. And this is the rate of change of that, so another per hour. And then I need to state at 7 hours after the store opens. Now, it's possible that I could have written this in better English if I read over it again and smooth it out, but it gets the point across. And you don't have to have fully proper grammar, but you have to be able to appropriately express correctly. Okay. Part C. Is the number of pounds of bananas on the display table increasing or decreasing at time t equals 5? This time it's asking just amount on the table increasing or decreasing. That means I need to look at what is the rate at which the total amount on the display table is changing. And that's going to be the rate at which I'm adding on g of t minus the rate at which they're being removed, f of t. This is going to give me the total rate of change of pounds of bananas on the table with respect to hours. Then I'm going to plug 5 into the function of both of these. Now, the easiest way to do that with your calculator is you can, oh, yeah, that's why. The function that I had on my graphing calculator was actually the subtraction already, because you can select and deselect, but I'll say that in a minute. You need to, or it's going to be easiest if you put the g of t minus the f of t in your calculator as a y3. That way you don't have to write down two different numbers and then put them in your calculator and subtract them. So for y3, go to your vars button and you go vars, push the right arrow to yvars, push enter on functions, and my y2 is my g function, so I start with pushing enter on y2. Then I go to, then I push minus, and then I do the same thing for y1. If I want only the subtraction to show up on the graph, when I go to my graphing window, I deselect y1 and y2 by using my left arrow goes over to the equal sign, and then I go up to the other equal signs and I push enter. And if they are blank, then they are deselected and they won't show up on the screen. Then when I go to graph that, I need to find at t equals 5, I need to make sure that the graph is existing at x equals 5 on my screen, and then I can just push the trace button, 5 enter, and y value, there it is. You need to make sure that you tell them where that number comes from, though. So you need to say that g of t, or g of 5 minus f of 5 is equal to negative 2.263. And you need to explain that because this is less than 0, then the number of pounds of bananas is decreasing. And I don't tremendously want to write all the words on that right now, but you need to write down because, and actually I've got it right here. Try not to show the rest of it. There you go. Because that subtraction is negative, the number of pounds of bananas on the display table is decreasing at time t equals 5. All right. Part D. Are you ready? Part D, how many pounds of bananas are on the display table at time t equals 8? So I'm going to go back up to the top and carefully read again everything that is going on here. When the grocery store opens, it has 50 pounds of bananas on the display table. That gives me a starting value. Now, the first thing that happens is customers are removing bananas at this rate, and this function is viable from t equals 0 to 12. I only need to find out from 0 to 8. Then, after the store has been open for 3 hours, store employees add bananas to the display at a rate of g of t. So now I'm adding g of t, but it's not starting until time 3. I'm going to get this out of the way. So now adding from 3 to 8, the rate of removal. And to point out, g is only viable for between 3 and 12. Write down this expression, let your calculator solve the whole thing, and write that answer down. And let's see if that's what they needed. Yep. And then I can show you the answer that you should be getting.